How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Now that a lot of people are required to stay in, you might start to think that this is kind of like early retirement. I've been semi-retired, however, I've been working a little bit, sort of like half-time or so. So I kind of know what early retirement is supposed to be like. And this requirement to staying in is nothing like early retirement. There are some similarities, so this video I'm going to talk about what those differences are, and there are a lot. Now, before this whole lockdown thing, I consider myself sort of being in semi-retirement, and I choose to have maybe 1 or 2 social interactions every single week. At first I thought, hey, staying in is not so hard. This might actually be kind of fun. So I actually did a preliminary round right before they announced this whole requirement to lock down. Now for that 1 week, it was a trial one, it was fun and all. But then I think probably 3 weeks in was kind of when I thought, okay, this is getting kind of serious, this is getting kind of stressful, this is maybe something I don't actually want to do. And right now, yeah, I prefer to not be in lockdown. I really want to go out again. You guys might think, oh, don't eat at restaurants, save money and stuff, but every once in a while I still go eat out, and I'm starting to miss this. I really want to have some KFC fried chicken wings. I actually wrote it over there, what I would actually have when I come out of lockdown. Let me read it to you. Number 1, eggets. Number 2, pho. Number 3, I kind of have this dream of eating Kobe beef, the Hugo Prefecture thing. It's expensive, but it's like a dream of mine. And then I want to have dim sum, and then I want to go to Japan, Tokyo again. What I did not expect is the psychological stress. I've seen myself getting, kind of go up and down. Maybe once or twice a week I would get depressed, and all the other time I'm kind of okay. Once or twice I'm like really happy for some reason, so I would call, maybe I have bipolar or something. Definitely not like a constant, contentment kind of thing. Before this whole lockdown began. I think a lot of us that has the luxury even to stay at home, not counting the people that actually are required to go out, all the Uber drivers, all the pizza delivery people, all the people that's working at groceries, Amazon warehouses, doctors and nurses, all these people that are working there, making sure that we have our supply of food and all this stuff so that we can order online. I am not discounting the fact that they have to go out there, right? So me sitting at home, complaining that, oh, I have psychological stress and all that. I totally realize there are different kinds of stress, and they probably have even more stress than I do, because they could very well get this illness and die. So today I would have to say it's one of my down days. I really did not feel like making this video. I just thought, maybe I can make a video that is a little bit easier, such as this one, which is a little bit easier for me because it might be a little bit shorter. But I thought, I'm gonna just push through it anyway and get that video out there, because I guess I'm gonna share the turmoil I am feeling right now, just so that I feel like sharing it will be a lot better for everybody else that's feeling the same thing. Maybe it would also be better for myself. By the way, did you see that one article where there's a doctor that committed suicide after treating all these people with the virus? And it seems doing that in itself has its own high amount of stress. Maybe they see so many people dying, the volume of it is really traumatic, and we actually don't know what the source of that was, right? Maybe this doctor was suicidal to begin with, but most people are reading it like, oh, they had so much stress working as a doctor that they eventually, succumbed to this. I don't think I am at that level personally, where I'm, contemplating that or anything, but get my depression going on and feeling a little bit sad here and there. So part of the stress here is, at one point I felt slight fear of running out of food, because you look at the supply chains and then you go, oh, maybe it's gonna get interrupted, and then all of a sudden, we're gonna have a hard time finding food. And then I try to reassure myself that the United States is a huge producer of food, And then you read these articles about people not being able to go to work, and then they're slaughtering pigs and stuff, even though it can't go anywhere. They're just dumping milk. They're producing the food, but they just can't get it to the consumer. I'm sure a lot of you guys have the same issue here if you're staying at home and trying to not go out at all to shop. You start to try to find a grocery delivery slot. Every once in a while, you're like pinging the website, whichever website that you're using, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, and once you get it, you gotta make sure you have all these stuff that you wanted loaded on to your shopping cart, your virtual shopping cart, so that once you see that slot open up, you gotta go, okay, I'm gonna buy, and then you can get that locked in. Because if you don't have everything in your shopping cart, then you start shopping thinking that you have this slot, and then by the time you're done shopping, a couple minutes later, that slot disappears. So getting a grocery slot is another anxiety point here. Maybe you just have to go out there at some point to buy your own groceries. Maybe you can't get a delivery slot. Maybe there are other issues with getting delivery. Maybe people cannot deliver anymore, so you have to go out there. And once you go out there, there's a certain risk of you getting sick. And personally, I wouldn't say I am like 100% fit, right? Because I had my medical issues like a year ago where I had my food problem. So I actually doubt myself in my ability to fight off this infection 100%. Like there's a little doubt in there. And if you look at the numbers, right, for people between the age of 10 and 39, your fatality rate is 0.2% roughly, okay? It can be up or down a little bit, but roughly that is the fatality rate, 1 out of 500. So in a class of 500 people, there's just that one person that could get lucky, and I tend to be pretty lucky in those type of drawing type of things. So there is this fear, this small amount of chance that, you know, you might just get it, and then, you know, you're gonna end up in a hospital, and then they're gonna stick that tube in your throat. And once they do that, the articles are saying that once that happens, there's very little chance that you're gonna come out of that. I guess they call that using the ventilator, intubated. What am I doing to cope over here? At first, I am getting all these free streaming services, CBS All Access, HBO, and whatnot. I even borrowed library books before this whole lockdown thing. And it's funny because my local library, they're like, oh, you don't have to return the book, and they extended 1 month and then yet another month, so now I can keep these books. I have more time to do gardening, and you guys saw I had like a little pot over here. Those were broccoli sprouts. Usually I sprout them to eat, but then I thought, hey, you know, if they're gonna sprout, why don't I just grow them to full broccolis, right? So then I grew a lot of them, and then I'm taking care of them in my yard. I'm like doing a bunch of yard work. I do it almost like every other day, every 2 or 3 days or so. Doing yard work is like one of my pastimes these days, and it just kind of calms myself, being able to go outside, kind of see plant life. I feel like that was important, and every once in a while, I would ride in my car, go outside. Not really go outside, but like I'm still in my car, just kind of cruise around, just seeing that people are walking around, that like there's still life outside. Because, you know, if I stay inside for too long a period, like I'd say maybe more than 10 days, I start to feel like, oh my gosh, everything outside is just Armageddon. It's just kind of plain still. There's no one around. But, you know, once I drive outside, I start to feel a little bit better because I get a bit of sun, and I also see other cars going around. Even though I kind of complain, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, why are they out there? But it sort of calms myself to see, you know, people are still out there. I'm sure a lot of people, they're doing a lot more cooking themselves. There's this comfort food that you try to make, which is baking. I try to make cookies. I've been making a whole bunch of other recipes, and most of the things I make is actually released on a video on this channel already, including my orange grill yakitori thing. I make my own hot pot. I have a whole bunch of like solid pieces of meat that I cut with a meat slicer. So then, you know, you save a lot of space if you have solid pieces of meat, and then you slice it yourself, and then you can have a thing called shabu shabu or hot pot or whatever you want to call it. I tend to do a lot more snacking. I think this is just stress eating. You just kind of sit around, and then you just want to munch on something, something salty, something sweet, something fatty, right? Certainly is not as healthy as I've been eating before. And the video where I said I was preparing for this lockdown, I bought a whole bunch of beers. Here's one of them. This is actually not the actual drink that was in this beer before. This is the beer in one of those cans. I just poured it in here because I like this particular type of bottle. Cheers. This is kind of stress drinking. This is not an endorsement to drink. If you're not over the age of whatever age, I think 21, drink responsibly. Here we go. I used to be able to do that just in one go. But I don't want to waste any, right? Because this is so precious. I only have one more can of this left. And I don't know if I actually need to buy another set or something. But yeah, that actually made me feel better. Terrible. You know, you shouldn't be drinking to feel better. Well, that's all there is today. Broken. I wonder how everyone else is doing out there. Leave a comment down below. Let me know how you guys are doing. I think I've been inside for a good, I don't even know how long. Probably 2 months, because I started earlier than everyone else. I started like a week earlier, and I've limited the amount of time I go out even. Like I'm basically in this place. I go out into the yard, I go get the mail, but that's it. And I think being able to go to the grocery store is like my way to see people. I think that actually helps a lot. Like going to the bank, going to the mailbox, sending stuff out, selling stuff on eBay, meeting people even on Facebook Marketplace to sell stuff to them, to hand stuff to them. Sometimes, you know, I chat with them after I, you know, give them stuff. They ask me about the product or whatnot. If you look at the rate at which the infection is going down, if you just extrapolate a linear line to this, it's gonna take 2 months or so for it to reach 0. And at the same time, if you look at other countries, they're ramping up still, and there is this concern of reinfection, of re-importing the infection from another country. And I feel without strict quarantine measures for anyone flying into the country, every single person has to quarantine for 2 weeks or something in order for this to work. And if we don't do this, we're just gonna get a reinfection. The amount of infection is gonna go up again in the United States, and this is just gonna be really drawn out. The future looks bleak. Stock market is fine. I'm not losing a lot of money. I think, you know, I'm actually break even right now, so that's all good. So it's certainly not like sadness from losing a lot of money or whatnot. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little chat. Not the best days for myself, but I'm gonna push this video out anyway for you guys. Mainly hoping it'll help some of you guys, you know, knowing that there's other people that, you know, that's kind of stressed out from this thing. So yeah, leave a comment down below. Let me know how you guys are doing, and push that subscribe button and ring that bell icon. Thanks for watching.